All right, let's get started. Thank you so much for joining us on today's webinar. My colleague Joel Flaher is joining us here, and we are excited to walk you through overcoming obstacles or hurdles in starting sports ministry. I see people joining on. I see First Church of the Nazarene, Lake Charles. Hey, John. Faith Baptist, another John in Fredericksburg, Virginia. So glad you guys could join us. So as you jump on here in the chat box, tell me where you're joining us from and your name, and that enters you to win the live giveaway that I will do at the conclusion of today's webinar. Again, my name is Jennifer, and I am with Upward Sports, and my role here is the Marketing and Partnerships Coordinator. And I am excited today to talk to you about Upward Sports and sports outreach in general. Maybe you happened upon this because you saw it on social media and you're interested. Maybe you've been following for a while and you're looking to get this started in your community and you have some questions. Well, we're here to answer those for you. I wanted to bring on my teammates, Joel Flaher. Joel oversees our market research and our content and our curriculum, and he is going to be our question answerer today. So, hey, Joel, we're glad that you're here.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. One last chance, everybody, keep putting your information in the chat. Tell me where you're from, your name. That enters you to win our giveaway. I see Liz, she is from Kentucky. I see Chris from Legacy Life Church in Florida. So thank you guys for joining us. Today, as I mentioned, we're going to walk through overcoming hurdles in starting sports ministry, whether it be your facilities, whether it be we're just interested in cost, or we just want to know what is the best entry point. Well, we are here to help answer those. These are not our answers. These answers came from church leaders just like yourself. So as we go through today, some of you on here have submitted your questions, and we're going to answer them. At the conclusion of today's webinar, we are going to take 10 minutes and answer live questions. So if we go through this and you do not see your question answered, put that also in the question and answer section or the comments, whatever's best for you. And Joel and I will take 10 minutes and help answer those questions. So let's jump in. Are you ready, Joel?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, let's get started. If you happen upon this webinar because you saw something online and you're wondering who is Upward Sports, well, I'm glad you asked. Let me answer that for you. We are the world's largest Christian youth sports organization, and we originated in 1995 in South Carolina, and we have the opportunity to serve and partner with over 1,800 churches around the country. Our desire, so that you know, is to come alongside of you, the local church, in reaching your community. We want to help you impact the next generation for the purpose of sharing the gospel. And you may sit here and go, how do you do that? Well, we want to customize your experience, and that's how we are set apart. We want to make sure that your experience is unique to your church budget, to your church outreach strategy. So we will customize this, and we do it through an introductory call, which we'll talk about today. You get to choose your sport. You also then get to create your league. And when you create your league or your camp, you access our coach app, our online registration system, ministry resources, apparel if you need it. And then what I absolutely love is our follow-up materials that help as you share the gospel with a family or a child, that they get to have follow-up materials. But bottom line is, we're your trusted ministry partner. We walk through every step of the way with you so that you can run an intentional league. All right, let's jump in. Joel, what did you answer? What sports does Upward Sports? Okay, great. What sports? What is the best sport to start with?
Well, I think the best sport to start with, there's a couple things, but the best sport would be a sport that you like. It could be a sport that your community needs or is asking for. Or a sport that your facilities provide a solution for. And so if you've got field space, you would want to consider flag football or soccer. If you have somebody in the community that's doing basketball, but they're maybe not doing it so well, you've got an opportunity to provide a great experience for families in your community and serve them. So the best sport to start with is one that you like, one that you have facilities for, or where there's a need in the community.
Absolutely. So gym, field space. Does someone I've heard other church partners here even talk about they may have a church down the street that has a
Sure.
gym that is not being utilized. And so
Yeah.
that's another great way. So
Yeah.
what sport is the best to start with? What about the best time to start our sport experience? How do we know when to
Yeah.
launch this?
Yeah. So if you're thinking basketball, for example, usually is a winter sport, you want to start that now. Like you want to jump on and get started because you've got such a timeline that lines up with your advertising, with communicating with parents, with evaluations and setting your league up, all of these things that need to take place. And so to do it well, you need to give yourself time to be able to do that. So if it's a winter sport like basketball, you want to start right now.
That's great. So some people, I've seen some questions coming through. One of the questions was, do I need to start my league right now for basketball? And that is yes. We want to help you
Yes.
launch that. You want to create your timeline. You want to get your information out there. This is not something you do alone or do on your own. This is definitely something that we would walk you through in creating this. Also, will help you look at your community to decide, is this
Mhm.
the best way, or is this the best sport? So if you have a gym, if you have a some field space, now's a great time for winter and even spring 2024 launch.
Yeah.
Um,
And
great.
really with the sports, they are based on when you want to do them too. So sometimes we'll have excuse me, sometimes we'll have basketball done in the spring. Sometimes we'll have volleyball done in the winter or in the spring or the summer. So really, it's when your facilities are available too. But I would
Absolutely.
say if you're going to do something in the winter, it's time to get going.
Absolutely. Liz, thanks for popping your question here. It said, can volleyball be a winter league? I'm gonna go ahead and answer that because
Definitely.
yes, it definitely can. It's a great opportunity to do a winter league, and now is the perfect time. It gives you a runway to create your advertising and to get your information out. Let's talk about, Joel. We talked about the best time to start.
Mhm.
Let's move to like, how do we organize our teams? So we have created our league and we create our advertising plan and we get the word out there into the community. And we have kids that pour in and they're ready
Yeah.
to play. So how do we even go about organizing teams when maybe you're not familiar with a sports system or sports in general, but you love outreach and you know
Yeah.
sports is a great way?
Yeah, so I guess one way, the hard way would be to do it all on paper and pencil. You don't want to do that. So we provide a system. It's called My Upward, and within My Upward, there's an easy drafting system, easy communication tools that help you get the word out, help you communicate with parents. But all of that is done within My Upward, and so we've developed and designed a program that makes your life more manageable when it comes to sports ministry. And great program. We get a lot of positive feedback, and we're always making changes too to that to keep it up to date and in line with what other people are doing in sports ministry.
Absolutely. And one thing I love as a mom, I love the even play time. And I love that it's when you draft your teams. One thing that Upward is great with, guys, is that we will help you through evaluation. So when you input your scores into the system and you draft, it helps your teams be even. So that is one benefit that would definitely sets you apart. So we
Yeah.
help you with the drafting in your teams. What about, do you have to be on staff? I saw that as a
Mhm.
constant theme of some questions. They said, hey, do we have to be on staff at my church to lead this out?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And the answer is no, that you don't have to be. So we survey, part of what we do is we survey our leaders after they've run a program every season. And so 40% of them are not on church staff. So they're volunteers, they do other things in their community, have full-time work, or maybe they're stay-at-home mom or dad, but 40% of people are volunteer, 20% are part-time staff, and then
Yeah,
40% are full-time staff. So a wide variety of people get involved in sports ministry.
absolutely. So you do not have to be on staff at church.
Mhm.
You can go to the church. That's how I got involved. I go to our church. We have a gym. I wanted to help start basketball. And so I help lead out that league as a lay leader. And so that's a great way for you to serve and to mobilize your congregation for sure. So we've talked about staff.
Mhm.
Maybe we now want to talk about volunteers. That was another theme that I saw. It said, how many volunteers do I need so that I can even offer this ministry at my church? It's a
The
great one.
best answer for this is that it takes one person. And that's the reason you guys are probably on this call is you were the
Yeah.
one person that is going to be the one that starts sports ministry at your church. So it starts with one person. And then usually you want to have 2 or 3 other people that will come along with you that help get things started. And then you add over time. So 2 or 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, you've brought in other people to help you with the sports ministry based on the needs that you see. And we've outlined a program of the type of volunteers you need to do sports ministry, individual roles, what their responsibilities are, and you just continue to add that over time, so that you can do sports ministry. But the best answer for that is it starts with one person,
Yeah.
and that's probably you, I would say, if you're on this video call today.
Absolutely. We also provide resourcing to help you. You are the one, and you take that with you to the church. And always, definitely, I think it's really important to gain the trust and from your pastor so that he, from the
Mhm.
pulpit, can also spur on your congregation. You know, for me, I was able to mobilize the congregation. We were able to serve in such a capacity together that our community saw that. And so I would also say that it does definitely take the one passionate leader, which I would say
Mhm.
you guys on here are that passionate leader, to take it back and then gain that trust and that build that passion. And we help you with that with resourcing as well. Um, let's ask another question, Joel, that I saw
Mhm.
on here. A lot of people ask, how do I get players to register? My church may already be of smaller size. So
Mhm.
how do I even get players to register?
Yeah, so we provide a lot of advertising resources for you. I think an important thing to understand is that this isn't a program where it's just kids that are in your church. So you don't have to say, well, I've only got 12 kids in our youth group or 12 kids in our children's ministry. How can I do this? It's bigger than that. So even if you're at a small church, your community is probably bigger than you are.
Mhm.
I'm at a church and we have 60 people that will attend on a Sunday, and we partner with some other churches in our area and do sports ministry. It's been a great opportunity to connect with families and help to grow over time and just share the gospel with them. So you can be a small church and do sports ministry. Um, the advertising is the key. You want to be intentional in how you talk about the experience. So you want to describe in your advertising, and we help you with this online what the league looks like. We want to talk about a fun experience, healthy competition, equal playing time. We want to talk about those things so that parents, when they sign up, or they see that information and sign up, they know what to expect. I think something else too is you have to think about some realistic goals. So if you say, well, I'm a smaller church, um, and you end up with, say, 45 or 55, 60, somewhere in that number of participants, then you've got a pretty good start. I had a conversation with a pastor. They started a volleyball league at their church in Tennessee, and he had 40 players his first season. And he said it was perfect for volleyball because that gave him 4 teams in the division that he was doing. And then the next season, he had almost 80 players. So he doubled from his first to second year. And the big piece of that was that for those 40 players, they provided a phenomenal experience for them that first season. And then, of course, out of that, if you have a good experience with something, you're going to go tell other people. And so that's the experience. The first year is key. And so if you think, well, I've only got enough for 4 teams, which is kind of what you want to aim for at a minimum. If I've got enough for 4 teams, you can make a go of it. So it's going to depend by sport what you do as a smaller church, but it's usually somewhere at least that 45 on up to 60 is a good starting number. If you can get to that point, you want to aim for 4 teams in a division. Um, and usually have a division of, say, second and third graders or third and fourth graders together. So think about how you want to structure your league and the grade levels that you want to reach.
That's great. I love the part where you talked about making sure that you set realistic expectations for yourself, but also to create such an experience
Hmm.
that parents tell other parents and they come back
Yep.
next year. So it's very important that you are able to do that. We also talked about the smaller congregation, and you may be
Hmm.
utilizing this sports ministry as a revitalization tool, which is
Hmm.
really important. We have many churches that do that, and this is a great way to invite families in. Um, know that it is okay, like Joel said, maybe you don't offer first through eighth grade. Maybe you start with a first through fourth grade or a first through third grade, and you build up each year. That is manageable for your volunteers. That is manageable for you as a church. And that also allows you to create such an experience that other
Hmm.
families definitely want to be a part of. Um, so we've come to the end of the questions that I've put together. And if you've stayed on here, thank you again. I know we had a little hiccup there at the beginning with my internet. So thank you for being patient with me. I see some questions coming in. Keep putting those questions in. We've talked about the sport that Upward Sports offers, the multiple sports. We've talked about when is the best time to start. Now is a great time for spring and winter. We've talked about, do you have to be on staff at my church? No, we talked about volunteers. So I have 4 live questions that came in when you guys were registering. So keep adding your questions and we'll stop at about 12:30 and answer the ones live. But when questions came in, Camille asked, how do I secure facilities if my church doesn't have its own gym or field? Great question, Camille.
Yeah, really good question, and obvious that you have passion for sports ministry, right? You're already thinking about, I want to do this, but I don't have facilities. And so I think there's probably 3 routes you can go. One would be to work with your local schools. A lot of times they'll be open to partnering together to either rent or donate gym or field space for you to do sports ministry. You just want to be clear with what you're doing so that they know what to expect and aren't surprised by anything. I think a second spot would be like Parks and Recreation Department if you have one in your county. I've talked to different people who are now doing sports ministry, and one guy said he went to the county, talked about what he wanted to do, and they said, "Sounds awesome. Here's the field space. We'll mow it for you, and we'll put." They eventually built restroom facilities and a picnic shelter on there because they saw how many families were coming. So it ended up being a great partnership. And I think the third one then would be you could work with other churches in your community. You can partner together with other churches. So it's not a, hey, I'm right down the street from you. I'm doing a league and you're doing a league and we're working together. There is an opportunity working against each other, but there's an opportunity to work together. So you want to partner with other churches in your community if you don't have facilities. Those are those are 3 great ways to look into getting facilities if you don't have them.
That's correct. And if you're thinking about a church partnership, I've seen some questions on here coming through is how do we start a church partnership? I would say it takes one. You're the passionate leader to get it moving. You know, you'll schedule your call, create what you're wanting to create, and then go to those churches and find 1 or 2 others to bring in, and then you're able to get going for sure. Let's talk about Travis. He mentioned, how do you get the church congregation and members excited to volunteer for an entire season? And I'm assuming he's meaning they're already, how do I get them to commit to 4 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
to 6 weeks? What have you
Yeah.
seen, Joel?
Well, the thing that might not be so obvious that maybe should be obvious is that you have to ask. When we survey parents at the end of the season, it's close to 60% of them say they would help with the league if they knew there was a need. And that's
Mhm.
either as an assistant coach, helping set up or take down things on game day, concessions, halftime devotions. People are willing to volunteer if you ask. And so I think that's the number one thing. And you don't want to ask it in a way that's like, hey, I'm overwhelmed and I really need somebody to do this because I can't do it anymore. Like, that's not motivating. You want to share the passion that you have for
Mhm.
sports ministry and sharing the gospel. And when you do that, people will go, I can can take that on. I can help you out. You want to be very specific with what you're asking them to do. And you can also let them know, like, this just for one season, just give it a try. I talked to a league director 2 days ago, and he's 72 years old. He's in New Jersey, and his advice was try it for the season, and then you'll discover how much you really enjoy it. Like when you see on a game day the families that come and the opportunity that you have to share the gospel, that's when people go, it's worth it. Like it is some work. We're here to help you do that, but then the reward from that is worth it. And so, ask in person, be excited about what you're doing. Come at it from a point of view of like, hey, here's why you want to do it. Here's how it helps you. I think the last thing I'll say on it is when you go to somebody, have something very specific that you've seen about them that is the reason you're asking them. So if it's a coach, for example, that you're wanting to involve in the sports ministry, you'd say, hey, I've seen you on Sunday working with kids. You do a great job. You hang out in the gym afterwards and you're shooting hoops with 3 or 4. I think you'd make a really good coach, and we're going to do sports ministry. That's going to pique somebody's interest. So make it personal, make that ask personal, and then you'll have people that'll join you and get excited for the entire season.
Absolutely. Another way I was thinking too is you have parents that are going
Mm-hmm.
to bring their child to participate in your league that will sign up. Maybe they go
Yep.
to another church and they're a believer and they want to be a part of this. So that's another way that you can get the community involved.
Yeah, and one more thing with that. Part of the process we outline involves an evaluation of players, and it's to understand their skill level so that you can place them evenly on teams. Jennifer mentioned earlier kind of the systems that we have to help you build even teams.
Mhm.
But a big piece of that player evaluation, that day that you do that or 2 days you do that, 75% of your volunteers are going to come from those player evaluations. So it is about evaluating players, but it is also about a first impression and having an opportunity to ask and say to a parent, hey, you're going to be here on practice nights anyway.
Mhm.
Would you be willing to apply to coach or volunteer in our league?
That's a great point. Lorraine asked, what is the startup cost to run a sports ministry at my
Mm-hmm.
church? That was a recurring theme that we saw. So Joel, hit on that about the cost to start.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think there are two pieces to it. One is like, what do I need to get started here? And that's kind of a difficult number to pin down sometimes because it depends on the sport.
Mhm.
Do you already have a gym? Do you already have basketballs? Do you already have whistles and things for referees? Um, so I would say if you will schedule a call with one of our regional ministry consult our sales team, they will help you design a league that is specific to your situation, and that will help you understand what it will cost because we have a variety of packages for players. So it's kind of hard to say here's what it's going to cost bottom line, but we do have things like equipment lists that'll help you get started, ideas for what you need for your field or gym space. um, it is self-sustaining is an important thing to know, and what that means is the money that you bring in from your registration fees will help to cover the cost of what
Mhm.
it takes place to run a league. So I think that's important to understand. And then a lot of times when I'm talking to partners in my role in research, the question of how much does it cost comes back to I don't need to know every single dollar of what it might cost to run and get started, but I'm interested in knowing how much I should charge for the
Right.
league. Because parents should expect to pay something, especially if we're going to provide a great experience. And on average, an upward leader charges $100 for a league. And so you can multiply that out based on how many players you think you might get. And then you can start to put together a budget. We have budget worksheets that we provide. So all of these tools that we provide for you will help you figure out that starting cost. But so if you think of $100 a player, and then the next thing you want to do right after you're done here is schedule a call to get that consultation so that
Mhm.
you can kind of dial in, hey, here's what it's going to cost to start my specific sport in my community. So it's really customized to you and what you're doing.
Absolutely. And I'll say there are no yearly or annual fees. We do not do
Yep,
that.
good point.
We're a ministry. And so, this is not where you have to have a budget line item for 2 years to
Mhm.
prepare to start this. And it is ready for you to start this winter or this spring for sure. You can go ahead and get started on that. I'm going to answer one more question that came in, and then we're going to go to your live questions. So make sure you're putting those in either the chat or the Q&A section, whatever one, and then I'll answer those. And then we'll conclude with our live giveaway shortly as well. Ryan asked a really good question. He said, how do I build momentum in a small town with not a lot of
Mhm.
resources? Great question, Ryan.
Yeah, really good question. With it being self-sustaining, you can charge a fair price. And so fair price is important because that says I'm offering a quality experience, and a fair price is not too much and a fair price is not too little. You
Mhm.
want to be able to charge a fee that will allow you to have a self-sustaining ministry. And part of that includes offering scholarships for families who can't afford it. And so you would outline a process of, hey, we have a scholarship application. If you can pay something, maybe it's $20, do that. We're going to cover the rest. But you're able to do that because you're charging a fair price. And so that's where $100, depending on your community, it varies. We'll have some leagues that charge 75, and we have some at more toward the East and West Coast that are 200 or more. But that's based on what others in their area are charging. And so parents expect to pay something. And so you shouldn't shy away from the idea of you're charging a fee for something that you're doing and the church is providing for the community, because you do have costs that are associated with what you do with your sports ministry. And so with a small town, I think it can be a really good fit because you are probably then providing the only experience for people in that community. And you'll know what the right amount to charge is. You'll do some research and figure that out, and we'll help you do that too. I want to keep going back to that as part of our consultative process. We help you figure that price out that you want to charge. So can it be done in a small community? Yes, it can be done in a small community.
That's great. Also, to build momentum, I was thinking, for my role, is
Mhm.
we get to really support you in creating a marketing plan to help you reach your community. Also, a social media assistance. That's part of the live giveaway, right? You're getting $500 that we're going to help you build momentum. And so that is telling your community, hey, we are offering this league, be a part. And so we provide all of those materials as well to make your community aware of that. And so, you still have to do the work where you're putting promo cards or you're putting flyers out. You're getting into the schools, as Joel had mentioned, but building that momentum is exciting. That you have something exciting. You also have something that's different. You're offering 1 hour practices a week. You're offering
Mhm.
1 hour of game days a week. For me, as a mom of two boys, you're telling me I'm honoring your time. I'm honoring your family time. I'm honoring you to have dinner together at night. You're not having to make such a commitment for a travel team or for rec leagues sometimes that may be 3 or 4 days a week. So make sure you know what you are offering to the community is honoring that family time as well. Well, I hope that helped answer some of the questions of what Upward Sports is, who we are, how we desire to partner with the local church, and answer some of the live questions that came through as you guys registered. But I do want to open it live for the next 10 minutes, and then we'll do our live giveaway of questions. Let me scroll up here, Joel, of some questions that came in. We answered Liz about her volleyball league in January, February. Yes, you can. Casey asked, can coaches or refs, mainly for flag football, be less than 18 years of age? I have a teen football player who would love to help with this league.
Yeah, it's going to depend partly on your volunteer policy at your church, but for sure, I mean, you want to bring them in as kind of a junior coach or a junior referee. Make sure you provide them the support they need. Referees, for example, One of the things with a teenage referee is you have to help them understand to blow the whistle and make the call. You then also, one of the characteristics of an upward league is the atmosphere that you have for your families. And so part of that is we don't get on officials. Like, we extend grace to people. We know mistakes are going to be made. That doesn't mean that you're not trying your best and you want to be really good at it. But sure, you could have referees as teenagers. You could also do the same with coaches. Teenagers sometimes have teenagers. I have 4 boys. Sometimes they have problems communicating. So you might have to have a parent. I would suggest that if you're going to have them coach in our league, I have a head coach who's a parent. I put a teenager as an assistant. The teenager can run the practice and encourage on game days. The adult is there to do the communications and make sure things are going well and help out when needed. But it's a good opportunity to raise future leaders. You're giving them an opportunity to learn leadership as a coach or a referee in your league. So for sure, you could do that for teenagers under 18.
I hope that helped answered your question. If it didn't, put some more in there. We will definitely help answer more of that. A few more, Joel. Thanks for hanging in with me. This is a good one. Christopher says, how do I find other upward programs that are in my community to ask questions?
Yeah, Christopher, really good question. So if you go to upward.org and find a place to play, you can put in your zip code and it'll show you can filter the radius, so 25, 50 miles, maybe it's 10 is in there too. But you can find churches that are close to you by going to upward.org, find a place to play at the top, and track those churches down.
And Christopher, I'll say too, if it is you're wanting to ask a question about how to a league or getting it started, we can also connect you when you schedule your call with other leaders as well. And that's one thing I'd like to make sure I mention too is, we have a group of like-minded leaders that you become a part of. And so you'll be able to glean ideas from them and ask questions as well. All right, let's answer 1 or 2 more questions. You guys are doing a great job. Keep those coming. John asked, what are some costs that leagues incur? And then the other question he says is, how do I attract kids who do not attend a church?
Yeah.
So let's answer the first one. What are
First
some
one.
costs?
Yeah,
that
so
you
some
can
costs
incur?
that a league might incur. It's going to depend on sport, of course. But let's just take flag football, for example, and this would apply to any sport. And so basics, you're going to have things like whistles, referee jerseys, footballs, cones, field paint. We provide, through the services that we provide player kits depending on what you would order. And so you have different levels of player kits that you can order through us. That includes jerseys, shorts, flags, all different materials that they would use. So those are some basics you would have. And I keep going back to the consultation call. Like, you call and talk to them and have a consultation. They've got equipment lists they can send to you so you know exactly what you would need for each sport. But for football, those are some of the basics. It would be similar to volleyball or basketball even. You've got some basic supplies, whistles, referees, things, basic stuff to get you through practice that you would need. But I would say make the call. One of the first questions you could ask them is, what equipment do I need to get started? And they've got an equipment list they can set you up with to do that.
That's great.
The second part of that question.
Yeah, and I'm going to jump in there on the second one.
Yeah.
How do you attract kids that don't attend your church? One is get the word out there for sure, and we can help you with that. For me, in the past, I have utilized our congregation to go to their neighborhoods, and they take cards and they put them in mailboxes, and word of mouth is so great. Invite, do the ask, hey, will your child come with my child? So getting the word out there, putting it in schools, which we do have a service that can help you get it into schools. Also, social media, putting a Facebook, Instagram ad out there, making them aware. So again, it is putting a sign on the busiest intersection in your community so that when families stop, they say, I want to play in that, Mom. And they see that and they come. And then I think too, John, just as we go back to setting the expectation of what this league is, it is fun, it is intentional, It is a place that's first class. It is organized. Your child plays. It's something they want to be a part of, and that they are getting spiritual encouragement. We don't want to shy away from that either. And
Mhm.
so families will want to be a part. Anything else you'd say to that, Joel?
Well, so 40% of families, roughly, across all upward leagues, do not have a
Good
church
point.
affiliation. And so you have people that will sign up for your league. That's how our family got started. My wife saw a sign at a church that said Upward Flag Football. She called me at work and said, "Hey, I'm going to take him to this evaluation that they're talking about." I said, "Great." And so that was a long time ago that happened. So, yeah, you put the word out there, emphasize sports, talk about a great experience when you're talking with people, and you'll be able to get the word out. Understand it's not just kids, it's not just for kids in your church. It can be kids in other churches, it can be kids in your community. And if those suggestions that Jennifer had for getting the word out, school's super important. You could get some yard signs and put those out in different spots in the community. But yeah, if you advertise it, you will have, which is a great thing, you'll have people outside of your church that want to participate.
I'm going to answer one last question here, and then we're going to do our live giveaway. There are a lot of other questions that I see coming through. I will email you personally. So if you didn't get your question answered, I will email you personally today or tomorrow so that you will have your answer. And if you have other questions, put them in there. I'll make sure I get to those as well so that your questions are answered. Michael, you asked a great question just now. You said, what kind of training do you have for leagues?
Yeah, great question. Because if you're sitting watching today and you're going, this all sounds great, which it should, I'm going to schedule the call, which you should. There is a team at Upward Sports that helps you through your first program. And league directors that I've talked to, we did a research project here recently. We talked to first year league directors, and they said, if when you help me through my first program, I feel like I can succeed on my own going forward. And so we have a team of people that are specifically assigned to you that will help you through that first program. They're there to answer questions. They proactively check in with you. We have videos and documentation that help train you, help you understand what's going on next. We have a league director manual. I'll have people go, "What's a lot of pages?" It is a lot of pages, but if you follow that manual,
Mhm.
it will give you step by step what you need to be doing at each point during the season. So we have all of that to help you through that first season, and even going beyond that. We have regional ministry consultants that continue to help you the life of your program, and sometimes stop in for a visit. And so I want you to understand, like, I think of the Home Depot thing. You can do it, we can help. Like, that is, we are here to help you in your sports ministry and get started. And there's not a question that you can ask that we're afraid to answer or find an answer for you, because we've seen a lot of situations, having worked with thousands of churches over more than 25 years of our existence. So yeah, we have the training you'll need to get started. Really, really good question.
Also, Michael, our goal is to help you train your coaches and for you to
Mm-hmm.
train your leaders. I saw that's the question you just asked, is the training for volunteers. So we start with you as that passionate leader, that league director that is running the program. You will be trained. And then you're able to pass that knowledge. We provide you with coach training or referee training that you can then pass down. Or I've seen Joel even customize the training where he does it through a Zoom for your teams. So then you would pass that down. But your coach has a coach app too. So they're able to see how they're supposed to lead their practices out, from the sports side to the devotion that they do weekly. So you will be trained. This is not a situation where you're buying a box and you're walking away. This is a ministry partnership between Upward Sports and your church. And we want you as that leader, that would be the front line, the person that we work with, to make sure that you feel comfortable in leading out this intentional experience to your community. Anything else that I missed there, Joel?
Well, I was just going to follow up with that and say, or a question might be, do I have to know sports? I don't know
Great
anything
question.
about basketball. You don't have to know the sport. We provide the resources that help you to conduct sports ministry. So you have to be willing to do ministry and take it on. But we provide resources, and I've talked to league directors who say, everything you provided helped me with the sport. I'm more of a behind the scenes organizer, detail person. That's great. You'll find coaches that'll be able to promote the experience that you're wanting to provide. So don't shy away from it just because you say, well, I don't know anything about sports. You can learn, and we're going to help you do that and help you train your volunteers that'll join you in your sports ministry.
Thank you for answering that. Okay, now's the time for our giveaway. So I'm going to give you one more second. Put your name and your church name in here, and then I'm going to spin the wheel and see who our lucky winner is. And keep in mind, just so you know, again, it is we want to give you a advertising kit to get you started. So as you get moving, you're able to get a $500 social media grant. You're also getting 1,000 promo cards, and you can get 10 yard signs or a wave banner. We'll design that. It's valued at $700. So keep that coming in while I wrap this up and tell you your next step. So as you're typing, type and listen.
Yeah, and I would say too, like if you're on this call, we talked about earlier, how many people does it take? It is one person, and there's a reason you're on this call today. So like take the next step in what you're doing. I started in sports ministry about 18 years ago, and it was just that, taking a first step and getting trained by Upward, and it's been great to see what happens in ministry.
Absolutely. So keep coming in with those. I am writing my numbers down so that I can spin the wheel here. As we're wrapping up, before I do the live giveaway where you're adding your information in here, I did want to let you know what is my next step. So your next step is I want you to schedule a call. So I'm going to give you this link right here. So I want you to make sure that you click this link right now. I want you to click that, schedule your call. I'm going to walk over there to the team here in a few minutes and say, did my friend schedule the call? So schedule your call. And when you schedule your call, what they'll do is they will listen to what you're wanting to do, what sports you want to, ask for that equipment list that Joel mentioned. They'll send it to you. They'll also create a custom approach for you. So you can take it back to your church or to your team. So that's the first step, is to schedule that call. And then we are excited to partner with you potentially in the future, whether it be for winter this year or spring. Find out more information and make sure you bring sports to your community for the purpose of sharing the gospel. We're excited to partner with you. All right, Joel, let me spin our wheel here.
All righty.
My winner is Amanda O'Donnell, Tulsa Hills Church. Amanda O'Donnell. We'll put it in here. Yay, Amanda. You are the winner. So I will be reaching out to you. She says, woo, thank you. So I'll be reaching out to you today to let you know that you are our lucky winner. And so make sure that you stay in touch with us, schedule that call, just find out more information. I will be emailing you as well a replay of today along with some other information. So if you have questions, feel free to ask me that. Any final questions, Joel, before we head out?
I don't think so. I think we've covered everything. I appreciate everybody being on the call.
Absolutely. Me too. And Camille, great question as we're closing. Are we able to get these resources even if we don't win? Absolutely. We offer resources like this to help you. So schedule your call, tell us what you're interested in, or we'll go from there. But thank you again to everybody for joining on today. Know that whether you start sports this winter or this spring or coming up, know that we look forward to being a trusted ministry partner to you in the future. Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, guys.